But what I'd like to do is I'd like to step back a little bit and let's just talk generally about the vote count. Because, supposedly Joe Biden received slightly north of 75 million votes all across the country. And the reason that that's such a remarkable number is, one, he couldn't get 15 people to show up for him at a rally anywhere. He spent the last 4 months operating out of his basement, running in fear of COVID, and he'd have these rallies, and you'd see him on TV, and they'd have, 10 or 15 people, most of which appeared to be press. That's it. Nobody was enthusiastic and excited about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, who couldn't win the Democrat primary. She's one of the least popular people to run for the Democrat nomination. Nobody likes her. We covered that extensively on our show. She's not a likable person. She doesn't have a nice personality. She's rude. She's really not that smart. She thinks everything is funny when it's something that, is probably making her nervous. The question's making her nervous. And she's an avowed socialist. She's a committed socialist communist. But these people supposedly got 75 plus million votes across the country. Now, the reason that's so remarkable is that President Barack Obama, one of the most popular Democrat presidents, and in fact had one of the highest vote totals of all time, and I think might even have been the previous record, that he only got about 66 million votes. So you're telling me that approximately 10 million more people went out and got excited about voting for Joe Biden than voted for Barack Obama in 2012? That just doesn't have the ring of truth to it. And I think anybody sitting at home knows that. When you look at the fact that the Republicans won 28 of the 29 most competitive House seats. Now, remember, the Democrats were supposed to be picking up the House, even more seats in the House. Instead, they lost a bunch of seats. It looks like they may lose 12 to 20 seats in the House when all the vote count is done. And that's if we trust the vote count as it is. And there's a lot of reason we might not want to do that. But even so, the Republicans won 28 of the 29 most competitive House seats. They added 3 state legislatures to the tab. Republicans did very well here in Florida, and yet we're supposed to believe that President Trump lost by several million votes to Joe Biden, the most unexciting candidate probably ever put forward by the Democrat Party. Now, here's some facts and figures from some of these states that we've been talking about, like Wisconsin. You know that in Wisconsin, there were 7 wards in Wisconsin, wards like a precinct, where 100% of the registered voters voted. That means nobody didn't vote. Now, statistically, that is highly improbable. That is essentially, because of the size of some of these wards, that's statistically impossible. At least one person is going to go to the wrong polling place or get held up at work or be in a car accident or get sick and not be able to make it to the polls. But in 7 wards in Wisconsin, 100% of the voters voted. Now, you want to get a little more suspicious than that? How about this? In 2 wards, in 2 precincts in Wisconsin, 200% of the registered voters voted. 200%. How's that even possible? Point is, it's not possible. These are not real votes. These are either false ballots that were submitted, like we saw all across the country, where we saw hundreds of thousands of ballots that only voted for Joe Biden, didn't vote anywhere down ticket, didn't even mark one other bubble on the ballot other than Joe Biden. Now, why in the world would anybody do that? Well, maybe because you got some Democrat operatives who are furiously filling out their ballots as quickly as they can, trying to make up a known deficit, and they've only got time to fill the circle in for Joe Biden because to them, that was the most important race in the election. They had to win that one by hook or by crook, right? They had to win it one way or the other. Not fair. They don't care about fairness. They don't care about integrity. They only care about winning. And that's Marxism. That's Alinsky. You do whatever it takes to win. You cheat, you lie, you steal, whatever you have to do. It's all justified in the name of getting rid of the orange man, getting rid of President Trump, the new Hitler, all these things that they say about him. In their own minds, they've created such a monster that anything done in service of removing the monster, even lying, even cheating, even stealing, it's all morally justified because they have to do one thing and one thing only, and that is get rid of the monster. Well, let's jump back into some more of these facts and figures, because let's flip to Pennsylvania. Well, I'll tell you what, people are living a long time in Pennsylvania. So long, in fact, that 39 people who voted in this election in Pennsylvania actually lived through the Civil War. Now, can you believe that? First of all, it's completely false. But if you trust the voting rolls and the records of who actually voted, 39 of the people that voted in Pennsylvania actually lived. They saw the assassination of President Lincoln. They lived through the Civil War. I mean, can you believe that? How about this? 45 total were born sometime in the 1800s, and over 840 people who voted in Pennsylvania are 101 years old or older. I mean, I guess Pennsylvania's the new Florida. Forget God's waiting room in Florida. It's apparently up in Pennsylvania where we've still got Civil War soldiers voting in the elections. Now, here's another interesting fact and figure, and that is you look at the statistics on some of this stuff. More people over the age of 90 registered to vote in the year 2020 in Pennsylvania than registered to vote between the years 2008 and 2019. So you add up all the people over the age of 90 who registered to vote between 2008 and 2019, and it doesn't total the number of people who registered to vote who are supposedly over 90 years old in the year 2020.
How could that possibly be?
It can't be, Pat George. That's the point. And this is going on all across the country. I mean, you've got out in Nevada, you've got people voting in Nevada who don't even live in Nevada. They've got thousands of examples of it. You got people voting in Nevada who also live in California. They actually just own a condo in Vegas, and they vote in both places. This is all documented. This is all part of the lawsuits that have been filed and will be filed. And remember, this election just happened. We're still researching this stuff. New information is still coming to the forefront in all of these states about the theft. But something I want to get into. Go ahead, Ross.
I was just going to say, I've heard people say, voter fraud, yes, it's out there, but it's not rampant and it's not going to change the election. But even if it's out there, doesn't make that worth investigating, because it's not just the random person adding these ballots. Feels like it comes from the top, feels like it's organized.
Well, the point is they don't want you to look into any of this, right? There's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing. Just accept the fact that Joe Biden got 10 million more votes than Barack Obama, the least popular presidential candidate whose son just had a laptop come out showing that the entire family is totally bought and sold. They're owned by China. They're owned by Ukraine and various, not the state itself, but various business interests like Burisma. They're owned by the wife of the mayor of Moscow, Russia. All of this criminal activity on behalf of this criminal family for all these years, selling out their country for personal gain. Just accept that those people are so much more, those people are like 15 or 20% more popular than Barack Obama. I mean, do you believe that for a second? I don't believe it for 1 second. It's not true. It strains credulity. It is absolutely not true. And we've got all of the indicia, both circumstantial evidence and direct evidence of the fraud, including the way the media is absolutely trying to push this one through. They're trying to push this weekend at Biden's. They're trying to push this living corpse through on us like people actually voted for him to be the president of this country. And I don't think there's any reason to believe that's the case.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.